and welcome to Critical Tumble, where a bunch of longtime friends and internet nerds transcend geography through the power of Discord to play Dungeons and Dragons. And just keep stalling in the middle of frozen-ass Grey's Inn because reasons. Happy Canada Day to Antheus, and kind of happy Independence Day to most of the rest of y'all, even though, nah. Happy Blowing Shit Up Day.
Yeah, that's better.
Well, let's face it, the country in which I currently live, its excuse for fireworks, A, happens in November, which is really stupid in this country, but never mind. And B, is all about celebrating a guy who tried to blow up Parliament.
Remember the 5th of November.
So celebrate the fact that he didn't succeed.
It depends on who you're talking to. And it's the fact that he tried it all for most people these days.
Yeah.
The problem is they don't remember that it was somebody who was effectively trying to check out the whole House of Commons entirely, returning us to a full-fledged monarchy and making us go back to being Catholic.
Specifically the Catholic bit over everything else.
Anyway, we have enough religious bullshit happening right here in the D&D session. We don't need to talk about it in real life too, because that would take forever and involve a lot more swearing than even Alice normally does. Previously, the gang has been slowly traversing Grey's Inn in order to get to the capital. Will you stop that? Do what Darvin did with the people. Thank you. Trying to get to the capital city, which the last thing they saw of it was an ancient white dragon literally landing upon it. There have been a few, not detours, but unscheduled stops. There was the Blind Harpy, which was only slightly worse than they remembered it the last time, despite the corpse pile, the slightly tainted young white dragons, and just everything about the Drow encampment underground. And then there was the Sullivan Plantation, where they've been for the last few days, because as well as a lot of traps, some evidence of some ritual bullshit that they can't quite decode, and the horse Valanche, and there were the effigies. The effigies were particularly bad. The effigies, most of them have now all but 2 of them have been revived. The only 2 they haven't is because they were Barnabas's and Faraday's, and heads were missing owing to having to be replaced with relevant bits. And none of the people here are powerful enough to true resurrect somebody without a head. So they finally got through all of that, and they've got through the vault, which Clarity had some words to say about people who amateurishly tried to pick the lock and made it harder for her later on. Found a terrible, terrible lot of money. The Sullivans, the dad was a bit of an asshole, and Sigwald was Sigwald, but they were apparently really damn good at their jobs. And Faraday was able to hold the Bottle O Mistform spell, and now the entirety of the vault is in the bottle. By this point, it's a little bit too late to be going anywhere. You don't want to be traveling at night at the best of times, and this is not the best of times, so all you can do is hope that the weather's going to hold. Yeah, Faraday is basically going, we said that the traps in, the various rooms have been... And if I don't go into any rooms that haven't already been gone into. I shouldn't have a problem. I want to have a look at some of the now that things have calmed down a little bit. I want to have a look at some of the things that we saw, because if we're worried about having to go back to Hearthhome rather than going directly to Black Crown after this, I'm wondering, I guess, if there's ritual stuff and we don't know what it does. I don't know if it's something that's already been done. I don't know if it's something that's gonna come back to bite us later. I may have read some things that I don't think Twilly wanted the kids to have. I'm just gonna have a look. If I get stuck on something, Clarity, can I ask you?
Whoops.
Poodles off, largely in a servant's quarters direction, because that's where most of the weird shit was happening. I don't remember. Did we do the door last session? Did we hand off the? I don't think we did.
I don't think so, no.
So
We didn't hand it back. We got it.
Yeah.
We stuffed the things in, but now we have to.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I thought. That's where we are. Yeah, and just we've already used that twice today, so it's gonna have to be in the morning. So another night in this all, and hope it doesn't blizzard tomorrow. I mean, Legs has been pretty good about keeping the snow from piling up too far, but that's only around this particular area. I mean, not that he couldn't pull you through whatever, but kind of hard to see anything in a blizzard, even for Legs.
I don't think any of us have spells that can affect the weather, do we?
I think Farida might, but I don't think they go to that degree.
Probably not that strong, no.
Well, I mean, we can ask her later, but I think most of those tend to be pretty localized anyway.
I mean, if she could just, like, if it is blizzarding, and she can just, like...
Yeah, but that would only be around one spot. I don't think you can move that with people.
Yeah, probably not.
So, it'd be fine if we were having to make camp or if we're having to fight, but that doesn't... The really hard part is actually the traveling, because I've obviously done some blizzard traveling myself, and getting sheltered up isn't a problem, but it's the actual moving that's the issue. And this is actually a lot like it is up north, in that there's not a whole lot of landmark. It's open plains, mostly.
Yeah. It's just usually not nearly this frozen over.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. When it does get that way, it looks a lot like home. Just because you can't necessarily see which direction you're going in, if you can't go by the sun because there aren't any landmarks.
Given the amount of snow, you can't really go by the stars at night because, well, you can't see the bloody things.
Yeah, same as with the sun. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I miss the lights. Sorry, this is like home but depressing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not blame you there.
Well,
Meh.
Yeah. The lights, and I miss the people.
it's it. I'm glad you liked my pack.
Cool.
I know they explain a lot about me.
Really, I didn't expect to. I knew it was going to be interesting because I knew it was going to be something completely out of any realm of anything I'd come anywhere near before. But I didn't expect to miss it as much as I do, if that makes sense.
It's that whole grouping is your kind of thing, really, because they are like a bigger adventuring party. They know that their lives depend on each other. So they are like a big family, just in the less blood-oriented way, obviously, because other stuff you're not getting up to with the rest of us. Most of the rest of us, anyway. I mean, I don't know how anybody else feels. I'm not speaking for anybody else. You know, we're a motley bunch as far as that goes.
Yeah.
I mean, happily married. And points in Rebby's direction. Happily married. Not really interested in guys and happily with somebody. Not really interested in any of that and happily with somebody. Looks at Barnabas. Whatever the opposite of monster fucker is.
I dispute that if I was able to. Sadly, I cannot.
Gestures to Ava. Still deciding?
Putting it.
Just gestures to Darwin. Whatever you're in the mood for at the time, as long as there's consent. Looks at.
Let's save the world first. We can deal with that later.
I was actually gonna go with. I'm a bit too confused about my life to worry about who I want to share a bed with.
Sums it up.
That also works. Yeah, in fairness.
And looks in the direction that Faraday went. And leave me alone. I was 10 years old last week.
I'm gonna really have to work on the reaction if someone starts hitting on her. She's not 10 anymore.
Yeah, but I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
but she's still 10-ish.
Well, I think for me, I think it's more. I think she will have a very good time, and it will be very entertaining watching her turn aside advances.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough.
She very much knows her own mind.
It's probably going to be the greatest
Anyway, the
spectator sport.
resulting comedy?
I was
I've-
going to say, probably going to be the greatest spectator sport parry practice we'll ever see. If that makes any sense.
Not entirely, but I'll trust it's funny because you seem to find it amusing.
Fair enough.
But yeah, pretty much. I do not believe we have an infinite baked goods basket now.
Think so.
Well,
We had the infinite bread basket. I think.
No, they.
Oh, we do. The buns.
It's
That
in
changes
it's
once a day, though.
But
no.
it'll
It changed.
be something else tomorrow.
It'll be a different. It'll be a different baked good tomorrow.
Yep. And we also still have the infinite bread basket and the infinite
Water
and the
jug.
and the decanter of infinite water, which I know not to say certain things to.
Excuse you?
Explain, please.
That too?
yeah.
One of the if I recall, one of the things that some magical infinite water jugs can do is if you say if you tell there like it has different settings, and one of them
It's not.
doesn't.
I don't think it's going to be a fire hose, Hazel.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about.
Your mother gave it to you. Do you think your mother would give something with that capability to you?
Not back when she gave that. No.
That's more or less what I mean.
Now, probably yes, because I know better.
And you're surrounded by an awful lot of people who also know better. But yes, no. I mean, yes, it would have been useful when the library was on fire, but if your mothers are sensible people, if it could do that, they would have told you it could do that and how to make it do that. Since they didn't, I'd assume not. I'm trying to figure out if this makes any sense to Barnabas. I don't know what kind of magical items you have in Ravnica.
Makes sense. I mean, yeah, it's usually the little more on the mundane side. You know, there isn't really a concern about like this thing that makes water also has a fire hose setting. Well, unless it isn't manufactured, then all bets are off.
Yeah, I think we're all just replacing Izzet with Egref in our heads right now.
Going to Egraf was like, and so the Izzet got their own city. Great.
But they did produce some wonders, and you loved about half of it.
Oh yeah. But you know, you spend too long there, and eventually it's gonna bite you somehow. It might be funny, it might be painful, or you might end up in a plane. How do you even measure that distance away from home?
I don't really want to ask an Egrefian. I'm gonna leave that to people who breathe weird fumes for a living.
Yeah, that's a good plan. That's a very, very good plan.
I admit I just want to see Clarity getting to audit some of the courses at the academy, and just listen to her go on at the end of the day.
I'm here for that.
Because it'd be adorable. It really would.
I would have so many notes to take.
You'd run out of notebooks.
I'm sure the Egrefians have come up with something about that.
Like auto writing notebook or
endless page.
many pages notebook, something or
A note,
I don't know.
a notebook of holding.
Yeah, something like that.
If they don't have one of those, I should probably mention it to one of them.
They probably love the
It's
idea.
not a
yeah?
bad idea, yeah.
No.
For all we know, 4 different people
love the
there at
brand,
least
nothing.
have invented the same thing independently.
The question is whether or not there's like, I don't know, some sort of, kind of like how at the Silver Vault there was the different things you boop and you kind of go,
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
you know, like have something at the start of the notebook like this, you know, click on the word here and the pages go to that spot, you know, because if it's
Welcome to
endless.
why I say people probably invented, several people invented their own independent versions, because some people would think to do that in Agraf.
Yeah.
Some people would not.
I have a feeling though that there's probably like if multiple somebodies made something like that up. From what I understand about Egref, you can make your inventions, but if you want to go and sell them, particularly if you're going to take them out of Cabreaval, you have to go through a testing process. And, you know, whoever has had the idea first and got through all the testing phases first is the one who's going to be able to do that. So anybody who's doing something else independently has to make it different enough from the one that's already out there that if nothing else is worth buying.
That and also, I mean, I'm thinking like with testing and stuff. I mean, you gotta make sure it's going to do what it's meant to do consistently, safely, and I was going to say without exploding, but no, some things are supposed to explode, so not quite. But
Well, it's like when we were. It's like we were.
intense-
It's like we were when we were testing those explosives from what's her face in the mining company. Anyway, Hazel, Clarity, you two are very, very lucky because you each know what the other tends to squee over. I don't get squee. I get non-verbal squee that I have to very carefully read. It is a miraculous challenge. Ruffle, ruffle, ruffle. I'm much easier to figure out what I like than Marie is. I just try to figure out what would get as close to squee as you ever do.
I seen you in that wedding dress.
That's not something independent of me. Not that that's not flattering.
I don't know.
She does raise her eyebrows sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm pointedly not mentioning the puppy pile incident. That's about the closest I've seen.
I think that is.
Chocolate. Anything to do with chocolate.
The puppy thing is, what do they call it? Classified.
Except to every one of the kids who were watching and their parents and the staff who are probably going to make an extra bit of the play about that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
That
yeah, I didn't think of
sounds
that.
about right.
Yeah.
Was I with the puppy
interlude.
No,
I think?
you each had individual puppy piles. Yes, yes. You guys went to the adventurer orphaned puppies, and we, Alice and Remy went to a somewhat different one and helped a lot of puppies find their forever homes.
Aw.
Mostly by being absolutely ridiculous with the puppies. I should post that for people to read sometime. Anyway, yes, no, it's like because you don't gush over weapons, armor, certainly not clothes. Gushing just isn't your thing.
Nope. I mean, the infinite pastry basket might
I'm-
get close too.
I'm still betting they're not quite as good as your mother's.
No, but it's infinite. That is impressive.
I'm sure if I am now almost tempted to tell your mother that you want one, and she would probably go back to Egref and talk to some people until she got one with her own baking in them.
Probably.
That would be
My.
impressive. That would be very impressive.
And leans, kisses her on the temple. You're adorable.
Mm.
Quiet but
Thank you.
adorable. It's easier with Darwin and Hazel. They just squee at everything.
Guilty.
There's a range of squee, but
Yeah. And after all, mine is constructed from the essence of surprise me, which, well, I can say that Clarity is very good at doing.
I mean, not for nothing, but I think clarity is a distillation of you saying that to the universe. He kind of went, surprise me, and the universe kind of went, okay, here you go. Here's clarity.
Kinda.
to be fair, from what I've heard about how you guys met, it basically heard Hazel surprise me and chucked you all together and went, there you go. There's surprises for the rest of your life.
In other words, clarity, you are absolutely amazing, and I adore you.
Oh.
I adore all of you. Yes, Nix, even you. Surprise. Which I only say like
Rylan?
that. Rylan? Wait, would I say that? Whoops.
You said
You said
Nyx.
Nyx.
I did. Sorry.
I totally missed that. I was too flustered to think for a moment.
I
knew
completely missed
what
it
you
too. That was completely. Oh boy. Yeah. But yes, you haven't been with us long, but anyway.
We could not imagine it without you.
Yeah, Rylan, you are now stuck with us.
I was already stuck with you before. What changed?
No. You
The
misunderstand.
length of time. But you were originally stuck with us for the duration of our mission. Now you are part of the family, and this family in particular done let go. You're going to be receiving oral misgifts from the Hearthhearts for the rest of your natural life. Your natural life.
A long, fucking long time.
Remember, the materfamiliases are halflings, and they're not particularly old.
Fair.
I think they outlive wood elves by a little while.
Yeah, sort of. Gnomes are the ones that go on extraordinarily, like, elf levels long.
Still,
Halflings, a little bit longer than me.
no, I'm pretty sure halflings a little longer than that.
Only way I could find out is asking, and that would need the portal.
Well, I'm not
or
sure.
you doing that.
I'm not sure it matters enough to burn spell energy over, but they don't seem to be overly concerned about dying of old age anytime soon. And for individuals who are in their 80s chronologically, this was supposed to be reassuring. You know, they might retire so that Clarity could take her place as head of Hearthhome, but they'll probably deserve yet more of a vacation by that point. Imagine they went from the mercenary life to a house full of kids.
I mean, it can be valuable experience for that.
Yeah, I'm just saying there was
people essentially.
but that's the thing. It's you'd imagine they'd want some kind of break, but no, just
Just the just thinking the level of nearby clank just went down. That's about it. I don't imagine kids are wearing heavy armor most of the time. Except for Skylar. That's different.
Skylar. Well, for A, Skylar.
I said beside.
B, you haven't been around young kids very much, have you?
Not for.
You're a musician now. What sorts of things did you get up to when you were a kid and left more or less unsupervised in the kitchen?
That's fair. I meant more in terms of clothing, but okay, yes, I get your point.
In fact, I think that with kids, your level of clank just went up.
Yeah, in some ways, I guess.
And there's probably about 25% more screaming. Probably only about 15% less blood taken as a whole. And there's a lot of skin knees, you know?
I think the biggest difference is people get very upset at you if you're cursing at kids as opposed to mercenaries. That's really about it.
Yeah.
That's fair. There's been, I've seen a couple of the dirtier looks that Tully and Miranda have thrown some of these guys.
I don't even know if I might have said things here and there that warranted that. I just assume I have.
I think with you,
I just assume I'm in trouble.
I think it was a little less specific words you weren't supposed to say and more conversational topics broached that should not have been broached around kids.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
You're a bard, of course you do. You're focused on the story element and you forget that these kids look up to you. Us.
Don't be so morose about it. You'll get the hang of it
Oh,
eventually.
no. It's not. No, not at all. Not at all. It's just I'm being reminded of the import. That's all. No moroseness at all.
Yeah, it's not
just. Ooh, that's a thing. It's just
yeah.
big.
It's him.
all.
It's him not being used to being a role model for anybody.
So I don't have to pelt him with pastries.
You could stick a cinnamon bun in his face. He looks like he wants one.
Yes, please.
Fetch. Walk. Shoot.
Bite. Pull the rest of it away. Some of the frosting got up my nose.
The fact that they managed to make those things with frosting is really impressive, by the way.
Yeah, I don't have the dexterity or the throwing skill to manage to just fling it directly into your face like Clarity probably could. So I'm just going to brute force these things, and you know it.
It occurs to me, next time I do talk to Twilly, I should mention that I bet she'd be, if she can make that, I bet she'd be massively helpful with the miraculous transmutation engine.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good point.
Oh, that would mean she would start. As I remember, mention being that she did at one point regularly go over there for like teaching things, and then
And probably visiting the cousins. But hey, she was back in Egg.
If we come back to Aggraf, like after this is all resolved, and see buildings that now fly, I will not be surprised.
Why are we on? Where did we get flying buildings?
I
Eggraf.
don't know. Just. Mom's magical prowess is extensive, and if she starts teaching again, people are going to get ideas.
I wasn't thinking so much going back to teaching. I was thinking dropping in on her cousins and maybe doing a favor for the governor so that they'll, probably all of them if she talks to the right ones, owe them a little more and maybe be helpful in the rebuilding of Hearthhome after several mercenary companies were camping in their field.
Like
She
consultation fee.
Well, she was a mercenary.
Mm-hmm.
She'll see the benefits of this.
Yeah.
Pointing it
Yeah.
out.
Consultation fee, I think, is the term.
I was more thinking a favor for a favor. It doesn't necessarily need the coin because if she doesn't have any place to spend the coin, what good's it gonna do? But think about Druidcraft.
Could be very helpful.
And they could send that level of help via Andre, so she could come visiting. Briefly, because as I recall, she's still house sitting.
It's going to be for a while.
Yes.
It was going to be a couple of years, wasn't it?
Yep.
Well, the individual was heading up my neck of the woods, so that trek can take a while. Oh, I hope they weren't one of the wizards that we.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. I've never met this person, and there wasn't really enough of them to identify anyway. It's not like anybody thought to look.
I forgot he was
That sort
going
of
that
becomes
way.
a case of we can't be everywhere.
No, but it's not so much that we thought we could do anything about it. It's more what happens to his house.
And his cat.
Cats. Yeah, I was going.
He knows not to right now, so
So Andrew, by virtue of house sitting, just inherits his house, his library, his plants, and his cats.
I mean, unless there's a will somewhere, I don't know.
Well, depending on the location's intestate succession rules.
The what now?
Who to what? The
Oh.
what? The what? And what now?
Ravnica has rules for what happens when you die and you don't have a will, standardized.
Well, damn.
I'm beginning to think that it's not so much people who have that quasi-binary lawful versus chaotic thing. I think it's just worlds in general that have that. You probably came from a significantly lawful world. I think this one's a bit more chaotic.
Sounds that way.
I don't know how much. The world in general, I don't know. Where the part that I was in, yes, absolutely.
Well, that's the thing. The fact that you have parts and your chaos is stuck in specific bits, in and of itself, screams order.
Yeah, it reads like somebody who was, I don't know, maybe originally made whatever group you came from or some nonsense, built everything, and then other bits and pieces became like chaotic because they couldn't stand it anymore.
Either that or whoever made the world, when every world needs some chaos, because if you had a world that was entirely lawful, it would just be unbalanced and weird, but it couldn't have the chaos spreading all over everywhere, so it just kind of crammed it into its own little pigeonholes and went, there you go. Ordered chaos.
Yeah, I'm kind of like designing a world like was it some of the like a tackle box like some of the fishermen had. They had a box and it was like it had little compartments and each one of their little things they used had its own little box.
And
So it's like,
and some of them were complicated enough that they tried to get out of that bit of the box. And
yeah, exactly. It's like so chaos in this box, order in this box.
no
this box
chaos, no chaos. Get back in that box.
Exactly. Yeah. Kind of like that.
He's a bard, and I worked in a place that was as much for philosophizing on long desert evenings as it was on the personal services angle. So sometimes philosophy talk happens. Sorry, we're philosophizing about your whole plane.
Right.
I think we're too close to ours to really think about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't. Yeah, I'm just trying to make sense. That's all. I apologize.
Well, you also got to take into account that I only have my perspective on it. My perspective on the plane is not the totality.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It just feels like yours is a whole lot more organized, and you have a whole lot more cohesive rules and laws than we have around here.
I think that's fair.
I mean, hell, Belarus's predominant rules about squabbling in the streets is don't be the instigator. And if you defend yourself, just leave some silvers on the bodies to pay for the burial fees.
Apparently, yeah, they don't mind fights to the death just happening.
Well, I think it's more.
long
I
as
think
it's-
I think it's more that they feel that if you're going to start something, somebody's going to defend themselves to the fullest extent.
Essentially boils down to, yeah, if you're going to start something, be ready to finish it.
And surprisingly, it seems to prevent most attempts of that kind. I say most as I consider somebody having to take a shot at me. Yeah, I did mention my parents were apocalypse cultists and also assholes.
Can you be an apocalypse cultist and not be an asshole?
I don't know, but I'm unwilling to I'm pretty sure you could potentially be forced into an apocalypse cult against your will.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you. Well, and if nothing else, you can be an asshole without being in an apocalypse cult. So
They're not completely mutually exclusive.
there you go.
But no, I don't think they were apocalypse cultists when the first time they tried to kill me. But the second time they definitely were, because then there was the big ball of fire blocking a doorway, and the attempts at smuggling that black shit into Belarus in molasses barrels, and banishing me to a largely empty demi-plane, and that immediately after I chopped my dad's head off because he was trying to kill my Ree and I didn't like it. And then Froseth cracked Mum's skull, so I don't really have to worry about it anymore. But it's entirely fine because I apparently I apparently have family to spare now anyway, so. Well, not to spare because I wouldn't be without any of it, so.
Yeah, the ones of those of us who still have problematic family members, well, we still haven't managed to resolve those issues yet.
Oh, Darvin kind of did.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dad and I, we at least came to an understanding right before everything went sideways. So.
Well,
He stopped being problematic.
Yeah, but that's how you deal. But that's how we deal with problematic parents. One way or another, they stop being problematic. Either it's because they've mended their ways or they're dead.
Or at the very least, I mean, I get now where he was kind of coming from. So it's like, yeah, all right, well, you go off and do your thing, and I'll be over here doing mine. So,
yeah, and those of us with unresolved issues still have those family members out there. My knife-eared bitch of a mother and Ava's half handbag sister.
Put it with her name on it.
And literally, now we actually know her name. It's a shame we didn't know that in Negref. I'm sure there are engravers who could do that. I wonder if... Right, I am gonna have to blow some spell power, but... Sorry, talking about the bullet thing. I was just thinking, you have your dragon slaying arrows.
Yeah.
But you've been using the rifle more. I was just wondering if she took the arrowheads, melted them down, and made them literally into a bullet with your sister's name on it. With a half dragon, something like that would be one shot, one kill. And with her magical ability, it'd have to be.
Yeah, but I thought we figured that anything other than ordinary bullets was too much for the weapon.
It's a one-shot thing, and if anybody could do it with a one-shot thing, it'd be Jenna. I don't think you could do it regularly, but it's worth a try.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's worth an ask anyway. But the main reason that I'm saying this now is because I'm not going to even approach the question unless I know that you'd be willing to give up those dragon slaying arrows if a bullet could be made.
It's possible, then yeah.
Well, I'll ask, and well, I should probably have to ask in the morning because I have done a fair bit of that kind of thing today. But I'll ask before we send the bottle through, and hopefully find a appropriate door, or maybe Twilly can think of something. I don't know, but then again, if we're going straight back to Hearthhome anyway, probably don't even need to do that. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud. I do that sometimes. Thankfully it's usually with good ideas, so there's that. Is there
It's
anything...
with fully formed ideas, which also helps.
Well, they're the seeds and ideas that I wind up propagating into something that's a bit more fruit-bearing, if we're going to be using that particular metaphor. Well, while we've got a little bit of anything, is there anything any of the newcomers want to ask about upcoming dragon fight?
When you mention this, I'm gonna pull out the book O Dragon and pull and unfold it on any nearby table.
Yeah, because I mean, at the very least, Barnabas fought the blue with us. Whites, as I recall, are a little different.
Aging.
But Rylan, have you actually ever fought a adult or older dragon before?
No.
Is there anything you want to...
That guy was fighting those 3 young ones a couple days ago.
Okay, so imagine that, but obviously bigger, like Silent Image does to scale. No pun intended. The best example she has is actually Little Her, the ancient-sized red dragon.
Oh, that is a large lad.
Yeah.
Ancient do be big.
Ancient do be big. They also have tougher scales.
Harder to hit. Okay.
Sometimes they throw around magic, and in the case of...
Probably not the white, though. They tend to be more on crush, kill, destroy.
Yeah, and according to this, let's see. Yeah, it's only the blue one that really has a very linear, open face emit breath weapon. The rest of them are, so long as you're not standing in a very vaguely cone-shaped space in front of them, you're away from the inevitable.
Except, you've seen Faraday use her breath weapon. It's like that, but it's...
It could hit basically all of us if we're close enough. Pretty much.
And let's face it, some of us have to be close enough. Did we... I mean,
broad tone. No.
You're probably okay, you're ranged. Clarity has a tendency to hit from the sides. Barnabas can move. I'd keep your echo out and away from its face. Even if it's not attacking, just make sure that you have an out when you need it.
Good plan.
Ree is going to have protection against cold thanks to Scale Splitter. I don't have as much to worry about with it because, well, and Farada, same thing, but she's ranged anyway. Darvin, you're probably going to have a bit of a problem.
Dimension door?
That's out of character. I don't know how to say this as an in-character thing. That's not a reaction. That takes too long to cast.
Yeah, I was going to say that wouldn't be quick enough.
Yeah, right. You're right. I mean, I'll just try to stay back until I can get alongside.
Yeah,
same as Clarity might.
Flank on the opposite side with Clarity, so that way at least one of you is going to be out of it in any given moment. It's about all we've got. I mean, I don't have to worry so much about Ava because she's best at ranged.
Arvin, how good are you with a crossbow?
It's a simple weapon. You can use it. That much I do know. Yours is a longbow. I think that's a martial weapon.
Yeah, longbows are martial.
Sure.
Crossbow is a
Just because I didn't put it there doesn't mean that your class can't use it. You can use, and also I think because you're a Valor Bard, you can use martial weapons.
Oh, okay.
I think.
I'll have to double.
But
I'm just looking to see whether or not I had one already. I couldn't remember if I did.
I could see Darvin digging through his belongings and Alice going, no, she's just asking if you can use one because she has one.
Oh, I was okay.
Martial weapons you do have.
I was just looking to see if I already had one, but I don't think so.
There was a thing at Lenark's, if I remember, but there weren't quite enough to go around. But I mean, either way, it's Hazel or Darvin in the front line. But I can see where Hazel would probably want to be closer to anyway, because she's gonna want to be in
close enough to pick up anybody that needs picking up.
The only problem is, I mean, I think the axe is awakened enough to not only do, ice and slashing, but I don't know for sure.
I won't know until I start, because even through the attunement, I can't feel that much of a difference.
Well, not something you can feel that much anyway.
Exactly.
I didn't even know what the hell mine was doing until I basically looked at them and went, "You're not helping," and then all of a sudden they were helping.
Darling, if you in your book, though, white dragons are ice-based. Do they have any vulnerability to fire, or is that just not a thing with them?
Out of character, I'm pretty sure no, that dragons are assholes that way.
I figured, but wasn't
yeah,
sure.
you do have Alice going from what I've heard, because we've got some legends about that kind of thing. No, it's like the Remoras, but worse.
Yeah. Some of the stories I know, they don't.
All it says is cold immunity,
but
nothing else.
But it doesn't entirely matter in at least one case. I don't know if we went. You weren't with us when we got Scale Splitter made. You don't know exactly what Scale Splitter does, do you? So, what Jenna did, because I am so glad Myri has this. Not only does it do extra damage of every element a dragon can produce as a breath weapon, but for that weapon alone, it gets around their own immunities.
Ooh.
So from Scale Splitter, this Varidel is still taking cold damage on top of fire, lightning, acid, poison, and the slashing from the weapon itself, plus I think a bit of radiant, plus whatever smite she throws into it.
Nice.
Crazy.
That's what your arrows or your bullet will do.
That's how dragons do.
Well, that's how Jenna's dragon slaying magic works.
Yeah, and Jenna described it as basically turning their internal energies back onto themselves, which is why it takes all of their inherent immunities and just says no.
And now, because it's awakened, it also protects her from all of those elements. It's the one she's focusing on anyway, as long as it comes from a dragon. Like, she wouldn't be protected from the ice or fire of a Remorhaz, but from a dragon. You've got it set to ice now, haven't you? You did that when we were facing the whites. I double check. That's why they were out hunting in the first place. That's why they needed a venom so powerful, Ava. That's part of what went into the weapon. First it's blood, my blood. The bottled lightning we picked up in Egref. The bit of gelatinous cube. The venom from from that two-headed snake. And whatever the hell Jenna does.
Yep. One other thing about the upcoming Ancient, when we're about basically the day we make it to this thing's lair to go in there, lair or wherever we're gonna engage it, go get it. Same day, I'm going to turn our breakfast into something that'll make us resistant to one of its other inherent properties, which is something about a dragon.
Yeah, we remember.
Hits that bit in your head that's like.
This is mostly for Rylan, I'm assuming, because we know about your hero's feast thing.
Yep. So the same day, basically, just let me. You're going to be obliged to let me handle breakfast, and you will be eating some of it because that way, the whole thing that says "be afraid of dragons" in your head is going to stop being a problem.
That is definitely a good thing to have.
Yeah, she did that for us when we were handling the blue.
Oh yes, that's true.
It's only because Rylan wasn't with it. I know it feels like Rylan's been with us forever, but all of this explanation is really for Rylan.
Does the Hazel in that book there? Is there anything about like the Green was doing with the not hedge maze? It wasn't a maze, but the walls of hedge and such. Can it do that kind of thing? Like, is there anything that it?
They all can tweak their layers. Yes,
what it could do.
If I remember, same thing as the thorns, but with ice.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Ice walls.
It's ice walls. If they have a ceiling in their lair, throwing ice from that.
Freezing fog.
Freezing fog. That it'll hurt, and they can throw up like extreme winds.
I imagine a terrain
with their wings, which will let them get the fog out of the way for when they want to go deal with stuff, and also they're generally like
because all dragons can do the wing.
The wind thing, yeah, that much I gathered. That's been mentioned quite a lot in various stories. So,
plus we're gonna have to on approach keep our eyes out for what this says is essentially an elemental made out of a dragon's breath.
I think we've actually seen a few of those cruising the landscape. This thing's really made itself to home.
Like to the point where these things, it just breeds out guards at will.
Do you reckon we'll need to worry about the
once they settle in? Because the longer a dragon is here, the fog that's been constantly sort of everywhere, that mist,
and everything being frozen. And everything being frozen. But yes, we can... Basically, any dragon's lair is rough terrain to cross.
Right.
I don't have to worry about it so much. Stretches the wings a bit.
It's not too big of a deal for me.
Everybody else is just going to have to deal with it as best they can. Yeah. There's not a whole lot we can do about that.
I know I can at least get close quick, because there'll be enough time for me to do the thing.
Yes, but
not back out.
Yeah, but at the same time, you probably want to save spell energy. Because if you're close enough to that, if you get close enough to that thing, and you've burned magical energy, you don't need to.
Sure. If for some reason I need to cover 500 feet that quick, then yes, but otherwise, no, you're right. There's no point.
It's kind of a
just save it.
It's kind of a shame that Hazel doesn't have that. She'd be the one that need to move that fast. But she's got other talents these days.
Yeah, and Hazel's got the boots too for mobility. Come to think of it.
That saved our asses against Coravel.
Yeah. So
I think the worst bit about this, about the white, is definitely still going to be its breath, because this isn't something that just dexterity will let us dodge. It's not just.
It's
a
not
blast of-
it's not ducking out of the way. It's sheer force of will. I know a little something about learning how to deal with cold, and it's your straight up raw constitution not being able to get out of the way. Because you can't get out of the way quickly enough because, in part at least, of the rough terrain.
Yep, it's basically a case of if it, because it's not just fire which we can duck. It's not lightning that we can slide out of the way. It's not a cloud of anything. It's just a raw blast of all the heat in the area going away.
Yeah.
What a little there is.
So the only people here who would be, well, prepared for tolerating that particularly easily are those who've already powered through blizzards that are effectively a dragon's breath.
Yeah, it's me and Farida, and Farida doesn't have to worry about it because she's not going to have to get close.
yeah, and unfortunately the acid not. Oh well.
Do your
The,
best to not be in front of it.
Darvin's armor is good against acid.
Yeah, that's
The
one.
armor that he's currently wearing.
I mean, I have some of the white dragon's hide, but none of us can craft anything out of it. It would take too long anyway. And that's the one thing that none of us, except for Ree and me and Farida naturally, and Ree because of Scale Splitter, they're the only ones that have anything against cold, just because what we've picked up has been effectively everything else. You're muted.
I mean, at least we have something of a plan. I mean, we were gonna try the thing with the chains.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to talk to Barnabas, probably Ree and Farida when she's not doing that, checking things out on that score. But to give a quick rundown, the reason it's me, Barnabas, probably Ree, and Farida is because Farida, I've checked, she can shape Earth the same way Froseth could. I don't know how much there's actually going to be there, but if on her end we can get it down and she can seal things up over top, that'll at least lend it some strength. And we have, it rummages in her bag of holding, pulls out the immovable rod. I'm going to give this to Barnabas. I'm going to try to entangle it as much as I can. And then I'm going to get the end of the chain to you. Probably with Ree as well, because you're probably going to need some help when it comes to getting the end of that chain on the ground, getting this into the links of that chain, and activating it. Even if Farada's end breaks, the immovable, if the molded earth breaks on us, if I tangle it up right, the immovable rod should keep him in place for a while longer. What I'm hoping to do is get around the base of the wings. It's always the best place to go if you don't want your dragon flying on you, as I've kind of proven. But I'm not going to do that again, because we're going to run out of diamonds at some point, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And besides, dying hurts. I don't really want to do it again.
No, we don't.
I think you're one of the few of us who hasn't come even close.
I don't want to see you or anybody else.
Yeah, okay, so that's the plural you and not we, because you don't really know what it is to die.
Mm-hmm.
You lucky sod.
Yeah.
One way to put it.
I would have gone for Talon if it wasn't for how many of you guys met the brief death because of certain party related accidents. I was trying.
Early on job jitters.
Yeah, you didn't really know how it worked. And nobody blames you except you, but at the very least you're letting it improve you rather than define you, so that's fine. But, that's why I'm just saying it's not that much to do with luck.
I just have to be macking for bars because...
Oh, Clarity uses Mage Hand to give Darvin a wet willy.
Wait, how are you going to give a wet willy with a incorporeal hand? So it's not. Yeah, it's not. It's
just put a finger in the air, but
it's Hazel's finger in the ear thing.
Well, I had a question.
What was the question?
Let me try to remember it now. How long? Well, because with chains, you could, you can link them up. I mean, could we put the rod through both ends? Is that possible?
It's possible, but it's trickier because I have to get under it. I can try.
Oh, okay.
Basically, gives Alice a more work to do instead of practice wrapping.
But he's right that it would probably be sturdier.
That was my thought.
I will see what the situation is, but keep in mind that doing that will mean that not only is it trickier for me, but Barnabas and Ree have to hold on to one end.
Understood. Yeah, no, I understand.
But if we had...
Just throwing it out there as an idea.
Yeah, and I'm trying to make it fit, so stop explaining yourself when I understand perfectly, and shut up so I can see if you've given us something potentially workable. Okay? If we had Faraday mold Earth that as a temporary, because let's face it, Earth is less sturdy than Steel Singer made chains and an immovable rod, but it'll hold for a little while, particularly with you guys keeping the pull on the Earth to a minimum. If we can get all of that, I'd have a bit more time before we had to worry about you two losing one end of the chain. So it's something to consider. I'll have a think, but we won't really know one way or another until we actually see the situation. So if it turns out that your idea isn't workable, plan A. I will simply say plan A. If it is workable, I'll say plan B. That'll keep it short, sweet, to the point, and please everybody actually remember this. Thank you.
If that doesn't work and it becomes airborne, this is a silly question, but would it be useful for the melee people to have chewing gum?
If they're only levitating, probably not.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it's a good thought, but if it moves out of the way, they're going to have a hard time being mobile. Don't they?
Yeah.
And then there's the fact that it has claws and teeth. And if they're up there... You remember how I died? Pop. Do we want that to happen to the melee people? I don't want that to happen to the melee people.
Plus, he's going to move.
Yeah, there's only 2 melee people who'd be able to get out of that, and I'm not one of them.
And if they're levitating and not on the ground, and it does the boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Plus, we don't know what happens if those chewing gum bubbles freeze.
I want the dragon's head to go 50 yards. I don't want the party to go 50 yards.
And let's face it, you're one of the ones who
should
might
try
end
bubble
up
gum at
being
some
in
stage
melee.
of this.
50
You're
yards,
just-
exactly.
But
we
we,
want to see what happens if they freeze.
but we don't necessarily know it'll freeze out there in. I mean, you can ask Farida to test it out in the morning if you want, but I don't really want to interrupt her right now.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, at the very least, we get a little bit of experimentation done, and we learn more about the bubble gum.
Yeah, I have a feeling that it might work depending, but I think ice in particular is a little bit of a tricky one. But Darwin, I think, has the best point. If that blows them off course, how do they get back?
Yeah, that I don't have I don't have any potential like ideas on. I just know that with that point about the freezing bubbles that you made, that's just something we should try to find out about because it seems fun just to know.
Like 14 more pieces. So.
That's all on you. I don't have to worry about it either way. I'm just hoping that all of this discussion doesn't have anything to do with the fact that if the thing does get airborne, I'm the only melee person who can follow it.
Well, possibly Barnabas, but he has less ability to.
Only 30 feet,
Yeah.
though. Once it gets beyond a certain point, we've got. I mean, technically, we've got Ree and Darwin being able to Dimension Door onto its back. But then there's the problem again. You remember how I died?
Yeah, that's sort of what I mean. Like, everyone without wings can, in the melee space except for me, can still kind of get to it. It's just a case of staying on it and not getting thrown.
Or simply
Which,
following.
Given it's going to likely be a huge writhing tube of angry dragon muscle, we have a problem.
Well, we don't as much. Ray, how often can you do Dimension Door? Is it just the once?
Just the once.
Darwin,
I can miss a step. But
yeah.
That's much shorter.
But that's not what I'm asking. That's not why I'm asking. Darwin, how many times can you do it? There you go.
Yeah, at least twice.
There you go. And I have wings and Dimension Door. If it comes to that, Darwin, save that if you can, if you have to, just in case the worst happens. But then you can point on and point off. I can grab Ree and Barnabas still has a minor problem, but if you can time the echo right.
I can help someone get up, but they're within 90 feet.
Yeah, it's that we're not worried about the getting up; it's the getting back down again. That's the problem.
I could do it twice, so I could get it back down within 90 feet.
Well, it's better than Barnabas's 30.
Yeah, and in a pinch, I mean, I think getting back down, I can snag Barnabas. It's just getting Barnabas up there is. Although if you wait, I can no, I take that back. You and me, Barnabas, we could go up at the same time. You can come with me, and I can bring his boat back because I think I can bring. Yeah,
you can bring that's how I'd get Ree back down. I just don't need to get up.
Right. So Barnabas, I can take you. Or I can take somebody. Let's put it that way.
If we had to be the same size.
No, well, they are technically the same size. It's not the size. It's not the technical size. It's the size range. Minotaurs come as medium.
Right. Okay.
Not a large creature.
Basically.
Yeah, basically, he doesn't take up 10 by 10 square. He takes up a 5 by 5 square. Therefore, he is the medium or smaller that you can take with a Dimension Door.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. They could do that with Grog.
Yep. And Grog still counts as medium. I had a thought. on
Can we
on
before we go too much into further thoughts? I know we spent a lot of time yammering before this started, but look at the time. Some people are going to want to eat. So let's take our break. And when we come back, then you can ask your question. And we're back after a brief, after our break and a brief moment of DM 101. Currently spending the evening discussing how to go about dealing with the white dragon, or at least solidifying what plans you could make in a situation that you don't necessarily know all the bits and pieces about. Although, to be fair, by this point, it is starting to get vaguely late. And we're probably going to want to be getting things done fairly early. Assuming the weather holds.
I look out the windows. What's it looking like?
Dark.
No, but like, does it look like well, we can't.
That's the thing, there's no streetlights out there.
No, but do we see stars or is it cloud cover?
There's the potential. Actually, no. Make me a nature check.
Oh, nature. Yes, ma'am.
It's not completely overcast, but there is definitely. It's hard to tell how much cloud there is, but without being out and testing the wind, it's impossible to say what the weather is going to hold over the next few hours. Mixed.
Now, but change quickly.
Yeah, it always does in freezy wastes. We're just gonna have to take our chances and trust Faraday to get a decent night's sleep herself. Let's face it, she is growing up into one of those ones who will study the thing like for as long as she can conceivably stay up.
Like certain someone else I know.
Mm-hmm.
Abby's looking at clarity.
Mm-hmm. I think we're all looking at clarity at this point.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I ruffle her head.
On that note, sleeping, trancing, that kind of thing, probably a good idea. Rylan, do you want me to leave out some tea for you for when you're out of trance?
That would be lovely, thank you.
Well, you know where the kettle is. I'll leave you the tea ball and the various. I've got a couple of different bags of the more herbal stuff. There's very much a wakey up kind of blend, and there's somewhat soothing. So which one you have is up to you. This one's the soothing. This one's the wakey.
Perfect.
But for now, mostly I leave that because you're the one who's kind of on their own for half the night. And barring anything else.
If weather's good, about how long do we expect the trip to last to get to the dragon?
A day or so. From what everybody was saying about the trip last time, because it was a little longer than a day the last time, but we're going a little faster than you might have, just because on one hand it might be faster because we have Legolas, but on the other hand it might be about the same time because of the weather situation. So, and of course if it's blizzarding too hard, we don't leave. And barring anything else, in for the night. And I would like y'all to roll me a wisdom save, please.
12.
Oh, Jesus fucking
jeez.
Christ.
Oh
Louise.
boy.
7.
Oh god.
6.
Oh boy. We're gonna have fun.
Remy is the only one who's actually moderately okay. Yeah, alright.
Oh no.
How am I gonna deal with this?
Dramatically, I assume.
Well, I'm going to start fairly prosaically in point of fact. Nightmares. Let's start with that. Let's start with nightmares and work our way up. And let's in fact start with Rylan, who actually rolled the lowest of everybody. And it's weirder still for Rylan because Rylan doesn't sleep. Exactly. And trances are not supposed to come with quite this amount of non-lucid dreaming. Yeah, what he's getting is standing in the dooryard of Hearthhome. His hound of ill omen was not overly ill omened because it's basically giant shadow mastiff, not hugely friendly, but not particularly evil looking either, because Rylan not be like that. Usually not particularly evil looking. Standing at your side is what they mean when they say a hound of ill omen. Here are the capital letters. The thing looks more like a dire wolf. And its black is less shadow than gunk, frankly. It's what they call the black shit. Your hound appears to be made of it, except it's not really your hound. It's weird for Rylan because he's used to feeling his hound. And he is and he isn't. A part of him is, but that part isn't really him. It's... The last time this happened, Rylan said that the shadows for him were usually like a weighted blanket, and that time they were all wrong. The part of him that's attached to this finds that evil blackness like the weighted blanket. It's you, but not you. And you can't make yourself not move when you gesture, and the hound runs off for... Not for Cupcake, there's nobody in for Cupcake, but for Hearthhome. And that's around the point at which your trancing effectively breaks up. Thankfully, you have had your 4 hours, but on the other hand, not so much, because you would have liked that to end a lot sooner.
Think aloud. Figure the rest out later.
Clarity. You know what it is to have a patron. Yours is shiny. Sparkly, more than anything, because shiny would probably be more like what Remy's got going on. But the patron, the you that is not you, is very, very different. It's dark and cold, and the apotheosis of that thing when Hazel gave you true sight for a while, and it was, seeing smells and hearing colors, and it was all just insane and wrong. That is the mischief and whimsy that's attached to the soul of the you that is not you. You're not seeing much in this one, but there's the feeling of having looked in places you should not have looked, but the you that isn't you finds entirely too fascinating. And things you've done and really shouldn't have done. But you couldn't have stopped it even if you were aware of entirely what it was. And when you wake up, having got just about enough sleep to avoid a full level of exhaustion, is a voice that's as much Henry but not Henry as you are feeling you but not you. Welcome home, sister.
For the first time in a long time, when she wakes up, she is fully awake.
Ava. The you that isn't is what would have happened if you had been the one to be raised by Jain Naran III. There's power in it. Don't get me wrong, but it's a grubby, nasty, and weirdly limiting sort of power. But you can be free of the restrictions that bind you to basically being your father's subordinate for the rest of your life. All it takes is getting to the right place and putting a few arrows in just the right people. The arrow that you pull is coated black at the tip. On one level, thankfully, when you aim it, you're not aiming for a child. Unfortunately, what you're aiming for is a very, very well concealed shape in the shadow. The kind of concealment that only a few people of the you that is you is capable of. Effectively, not only do you know what it is to grow up the way Ianthe had, you also know exactly what it is to be a corrupted black dragon's assassin. And yeah, you get your 8 hours, but you kind of wish you hadn't.
I'm trying to decide if I wake up screaming or
Make me another wisdom saving throw just for straight up willpower.
can do. Wisdom, you said?
Yes.
Yep.
Best I got.
24.
You
God, but
yeah, well basically if there's any screaming it's because it's muffled by you sort of holding butterscotch up to your face.
yeah, I just jerk up, grab my pillow.
I'll
I hear this.
I'll ask about that later. I'm getting to that. There's still a few more people I have to get through. No, it's fine. It's fine. Your reaction's fine. I just don't want to. Darvin, you remember the party with the faceless people? This is what it is to be one of them. Except worse. Those weren't evil so much as puppeted by something nasty. Nasty and evil are two different things. You are, at this point, only part of a faceless whole. Just a whole group. But what's puppeting that group is not just a chaotic, misruling archfey. You've seen and heard, and to a very limited extent felt, what the fog did. That's what's piloting you and the rest. You haven't hurt anybody, but nobody's entered your territory yet. But the part of you that still is, knows that the best part about being faceless is that you can put on any face you like and get into anywhere you need to go. And there's a place you are being directed to go. And you know where it is. And you know what you're supposed to do there. You're not there yet. But that's where you're headed. And you can't make yourself stop. And yeah, you about get your 8 hours before the waking sets in. For Barn...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, give the reaction and I can move on from there.
Basically just lying there, hands over the face, not so much to cover anything, but to make sure it's still there. And just a whole lot of that upon waking up for a while.
For Barnabas, it's a little more personal. Because he's seen exactly what prolonged direct contact with the black shit does to people. Remy is lucky she made her save, and she's not having any of this. How that's going to happen when I'm not going to bother with describing Alice's, but for the reaction you'll definitely get. But yeah. For Barnabas, he's seen a few groups and ways that the physical form can be changed. And he's heard about the large black minotaur that hangs around with Arkan the Cruel, Toragar. He winds up a combination of both. The black turns his fur black. There's more horns than there should be. And there's a couple of extra tentacles. Almost like extra arms. But for him, he's not going for the young and the innocent. Because for Barnabas, the first thing he thinks of when he thinks the black shit makes you turn on people, it's your team. And given the absolute horror of that fucking role, he actually gets around to murdering at least 3 of them before he wakes up. The last one that Barnabas dreams about killing before finally just nope, is Hazel. Hazel, in a way, is lucky. She cannot personally imagine herself corrupted. being unable to protect her friends from the corruption. However, so what she gets is the quiet of the Sullivan Plantation, more blood, and black ichor before the incredibly tainted Barnabas swings around right into her face from a doorway, chucks the incredibly dead and would be tainted if she wasn't Remy up against one wall hard enough for things to go splat, and effectively dismembers you, which you are conscious for right up until about a point at which gets fed up with playing she loves me not with your limbs, and winds up driving horns through your midsection. And yes, this is how Barnabas does dream of killing Hazel, by the way. And both of you wake up at about the same time. And, fuck it, you both screaming. So, yeah, Rylan and Ava's in her own room, so probably doesn't hear that so much because it's all muffled. But certainly hears the yelling from Barnabas, Hazel, somewhat less from Alice A, because she winds up screaming into Legolas's flank. Because even mostly asleep, she didn't want to wake up Remy. What's your passive perception, Remy?
11.
Yeah, no. You actually don't even wake up at that.
So I hear Barnabas and Hazel.
Yeah, just about everybody but the ones in the cellar hear Barnabas and Hazel.
Yeah.
Barnabas loud because he big, me loud because me loud.
Oh, God.
Barnabas starts screaming. Are we sleeping in a spot where, like, when he wakes up like that, can he see Hazel?
You guys took the parlor for the most part. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's screaming, sees Hazel, starts dry heaving. Just because of
Yeah.
just
Yeah, we all get why.
and
Clarity
sort of
probably unfortunately got an earful.
I don't figure you got, because there's the cuddle pile there. I don't think. Yeah, Clarity definitely got an earful. Yes, but then again, Clarity
probably got an earful.
To be fair, Clarity was a bit. It was awake just before you started screaming anyway, from her own situation.
That probably makes it worse because fully conscious for the bolting upright and freaking out.
Yeah, in all fairness, Remy doesn't hear that, but Alice's passive perception is good, and she's awake, screaming into Legolas' flank. So what Remy gets is pat on the shoulder.
What?
Do you hear the tail end of Barnabas and Hazel screaming?
Remy fumbles up.
I don't think that's needing a weapon. I really don't think that's needing a weapon.
Are you
Did
sure?
Yes, I'm sure, and I am so fucking glad that you don't know what's going on. It means you didn't go through what I think some of us went through last night. And honestly, heedless of clothing, just sort of wrapped the fur she was using as a blanket around her, and beyond that, stark naked walks up the stairs.
Remy hurries after her.
I'm assuming she's putting on more in the way of clothing.
She's probably already has like an undershirt and trousers on.
In which case, Alice is very disappointed that Remy sleeps with clothes on. I'm just saying.
Old.
Yeah. But that doesn't stop the disappointing. It just means that she understands. So yeah, you guys see Alice come in and sort of tucking what you think is Yeti fur around her like a dress, and she's clearly not wearing anything under it, but also clearly doesn't care. Okay, hands up who slept well last night. Remy is just like, I'm so glad. Kiss on the forehead.
While Hazel had been screaming, Clarity just went looking for her hand and squeezed it really hard, but still just has a stunned look on her face.
Yeah, and I'm still in shock of having hands. So those are currently both wrapped around Clarity's hand and just sort of vibrating.
Yeah. Farida is. Farida rolled way better than all the rest of you. And is just sort of going, okay, I think I'm gonna have to hear what happened before I give any explanations. Out of character, yes, this is going to be a little bit of a cliffhanger as far as that goes, because I do want to give Antheus the chance to deliver this in character. Okay? So we'll discuss the things.
Darvin's literally just because I'm assuming that he was sleeping in the parlor with
Yeah.
everybody else.
Oh, but
Is basically just completely stock still. Did sit up when the screaming started, but kind of still has his hands over his face and is just sort of looking through his fingers, just like, and just that being basically unresponsive. Aside from that, just because.
Okay, I'm gonna ask that Darvin start first because I think he needs to start re-engaging with the world. Hey, Darvin.
Okay. Okay, so you are okay. You are good. I'm still me. Oh boy.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna let you guys all wind down a little while I go make some coffee, and we find out what's in the infinite pastry basket. And then I'm gonna start the storytelling with Darvin because I'm still me worries me. No, we're waiting until coffee happens.
Right.
Hazel, pastries.
Very slowly, still kind of haltingly, managed to pry myself loose and move over to the basket, move it to somewhere where everyone will have access to it, and pull
The smell coming from it is buttery pastry and chocolate. It appears to be pain au chocolat. Then Alice comes back a little while later with coffee and just and gonna wait for anything substantial for breakfast until I'm sure that everybody can keep things down, because I'm pretty sure that I heard Barnabas at least making some that. Clearly your digestive system is humanoid. It's rude to ask how many stomachs you have.
Okay.
Pats him on the shoulder. Sorry, I was trying for.
No, that helped. That actually helped.
And Shay holds out the coffee to him. This might help more.
More, please.
I'm glad I made the big pot. And she actually takes out a craft pour. Please drink this one a little bit more slowly.
I will, but I just needed.
You don't have to explain. But this is the good stuff. I'd like you to taste it. Okay?
Okay.
We'll start with Darvin and let you get your stomach settled enough to be able to manage a comforting pastry. Darvin?
Okay. I already know the answer to this, but I'm gonna ask the question anyway. Do I still have my face?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I just needed somebody else to say it.
And she actually digs in her bag of holding and holds out a hand mirror.
And he's just for a moment just okay, and passes it back.
Stuff. Glad my vanity has a purpose.
I was me in that I knew I existed, but I was part of the faceless horde. Literally. Um, Great. I could put on anyone's at that point and go wherever I needed to go to do the things that I was being commanded to do by evil, the evil.
Okay, before we go any further, those of you who did have a particularly bad night, hands up whose dreams or trance visions or whatever we're calling what happens to Rylan involved the black shit.
Mine, didn't I?
Yes, technically. Corrupted black dragon, which actually,
Right.
if you thinking about it, because you're fairly intelligent, as you're raising your hand a little hesitantly, you realize you actually got information out of that. Because if this is the kind of dreaming that it seems to be, you didn't know that Jainan III was actively corrupted, and now you seem to, or at least have a pretty good guess. Okay, I see that expression on Ava's face, so we're gonna go to her next.
Yeah.
Still.
Hands her the coffee here. At the very least, it's something to wrap your hands around that's not necessarily butterscotch.
I was sort of me, but not me. But I was the me I was the me I would be if I was Ianthe. In a way.
Oh,
By the
that's
way,
charming.
But there was this power to it, but it felt limiting somehow.
So wait a minute. So, sorry if you to briefly break in here, because it might give more context. You say you're dreaming you grew up like Ianthe did, the power with the limits that, from the sounds of it, you could break through with the right actions.
Yeah.
So we were talking about how maybe Ianthe is the chosen vessel for Tiamat. Maybe that's what that was.
Maybe.
Metaphor, gotta love it.
I had to shoot people.
So
I had-
kind of like Darwin's.
Did I know that you said? I think you said I knew the shadowy.
Yes, that the only person you know who can hide that well, and who they would really desperately want shot with an arrow tipped by black shit, is Shinaira, the mortal aspect of the villain.
Firing at Shinaira. And that's not all. I just realised something. Jainan is corrupted, like really corrupted.
Well, it'd have to be if your way through to this was corrupting other.
You think that means they're going to target her?
Well, let's hear what the others have to say, because we already know that
Yeah.
they want the mortal aspect of the villain corrupted. That could just be any of this could just be what they want to do, and not what they're trying to do. Clarity?
I mean, there's a me that wasn't quite me. Darker, influenced by corrupted patron instead of my nice one. And there was the darkness and the blackness, and I couldn't look away or get away from it, because fuck me, I had to know. And as I got closer to it, and I woke up hearing Henry's voice, and it wasn't right. And he told me, "Welcome, sister."
Which point, Alcé kind of gets up, sits next to Clarity, and briefly arm and wing.
I'm near enough. I'll reach out and squeeze her hand.
Yeah, Alcé does that for a moment, but she doesn't want to take Hazel's spot away from her too much. Just sometimes when you do get sometimes when you're feeling that dark, maybe a little bit of a shield like that helps. I don't know. I try anyway.
Thanks. I mean, after yesterday.
I know.
What if he's really like that? Just kind of curls in and takes coffee and just sort of holds it.
Yeah. To take some of the attention off Clarity for a minute, Alcé turns around to Rylan. It worries me because I didn't think elves dreamt like this. I think he's frozen. Rylan. No. There you go.
Oh.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Give me a second. Brain shut down error.
So I'm sorry. I'm just now I'm thinking. Data. Somebody messed with his power core.
Okay.
Yeah, because Rylan, this is starting to worry me because I didn't think elves dreamt like this.
No, we don't usually.
So what did you dream when you really shouldn't have?
I ordered an attack on Hearth Home.
I'm hoping in the dream. Okay, good. We're just trying to make sure, because if this is might be, because I'm sure you're not actually doing any. Can we get more details, please?
I was overlooking Hearth Home itself, not even like for Cupcake, but Hearth Home.
Specifically the one with the kids in it.
I didn't see too much before I woke, but I could feel it. Last night, the night before, I guess, when I dreamt, I could feel that all of that shadow was just wrong. Here, it was hard to tell.
Is this another you were you, but you also were a not you situation? Mm-hmm. And the bit that was cool with it, but you weren't. Am I close?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm starting to sense a theme here. We're bards. We're good at themes. Anything else?
I basically directed them down to Hearth Home, and then I woke up before anything else could really happen.
Yeah. Out of character, technically it wasn't a them. It technically wasn't a them. It was you literally sending Rutherford? Rufus? Something like that? I don't remember what name you gave your... Jefferson, right. Yes. I knew it was I was pretty sure it was a 3-syllable name, but anyway, yes. Yeah. Out of character, yeah. You weren't sending people, you were sending Jefferson. The abomination Jefferson. Back in character.
Jefferson was different too. More like proper hellhound looking.
And she does silent image for what you guys actually, some of Remy, Barnabas, and to an extent Hazel recognize, because Hazel's seen the kind of thing, and you guys were up against Hounds of Corruption when you were in the Southern Lands. So the big dire wolf of black sludge looking thing. This silent image. Ryland, this.
Hmm. Right on the money.
Well, fuck.
Yeah.
We still think this is.
We're not quite done yet, and then Farida has some explanations, possibly. And Farida's kind of doing a gesture for anybody else has anything to say. It's like, Barnabas, whatever you had was obviously really bad. I'm sorry to have to make you.
No, it's so the black shit got me, changed me, and then I started attacking you and Remy, and I woke up when I was trying to kill Hazel.
Out of character, you were killing Hazel when you woke up.
Well, was killing Hazel, and I'm really glad to hear you guys say the whole "it was me, but not me," because while it was happening on in the dream, some part of me really, really liked it.
Just that was the worst part.
Yeah.
Looks over at Hazel. Hazel? Want to fill out
Barnabas is drained, but from the perspective of the me that died.
Okay, does anybody want to compare notes about how that happened? I'm really sorry, but we kind of have to know.
It's really easy. Hazel, was I playing She Loves Me, She Loves You Not with your limbs?
Yep.
Oh, God damn it.
We have you swearing. We have you swearing at deities now. You're really starting to make yourself at home. I'm sorry. I do the humor thing. I kind of have to.
No, how fucked is that?
Extremely, but this shit is entirely fucked.
Yep.
Sullivan's gonna get up and walk over to Barnabas and just sort of be like, "Do you mind if I pull up some floor?"
Go ahead.
Just sits down next to him. Doesn't really like lean in, but just sort of.
There's a moment, and then there's a lean back, which then moderate the lean.
Squish.
Solidarity.
There's a moment of squishing. No. Like, yeah, Barnabas is medium.
Right. Regular level of medium.
There's a difference between you exist within a 5x5 space and you fill a 5x5 space.
Exactly. It was the. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, since y'all went into some moderate detail, I don't know how much of it I can go into, but leave us simply say that the fallen Azamar that fell to this black shit instead of any other fall you can recover from were descended from Devas, Empyreans, stuff like that. beings lower down on the celestial food chain. I come from a solar, and I have had some modifications. Leva simply say that if this dream is remotely accurate, I can take on a lot more of that corruption shit, and B, it really taps into things. Anything that you may have seen or read about thus far, that doesn't begin to cover it.
Remy will side hug her.
I don't know what happens at this point or what this is about, but we're getting it close to places that we know taint has already started spreading. I don't know what Varadel looks like at this stage, but I'm pretty sure Farida has some answers. But before we hear any of that, we are going to try and calm down. Because shock on top of shock on top of shock is not good for anybody. So I want to see everybody put a pastry in their face, myself included, before we do anything else. And because we are at that time, I will pass along sufficient notes to Antheus to let Farida let people know the what she's getting between what she was looking at from the various bits of ritual and what y'all have been saying. So I'll see you in 2 weeks' time when we get some actual answers and hopefully actually speed us along, like, for multiple reasons. Bye, guys.